Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giripada Hari Giripada Hari Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jamuna Tira Vanantari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giripada Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giripada Hari Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana Yashodanandana Vrajadana Rangana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radha Radha Madhav Radha. Jaya Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radha. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Swayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Pri Vrajagacharya Stotra Satya Sri Simad His Divine Grace Shri Bhai Charanarvind Bhaktivedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charya. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Daksuramiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhuktale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurum Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Sya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Siti Devi Anamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatibhyasyam Kripa Sindhu Jaivasha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatutamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, it becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam Utamashloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic knowledge, is the king of all Vedic knowledge. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vacharam pangum langayate girim. Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataram. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class, continuing from second canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 1. And today we are reading text number 25, yes. 25. Oh, that's 24. Okay. Anda koshe sarire asmin sapta varana samyute vairajah purusho yo asau bhagavan dharanasrayah andakoshe shariresmin sapta varana samyute vairaja purusho yo sau bhagavan dharanasrayah andakoshe shariresmin saptavarana samyute vairaja purusho yosao bhagavan dharanasrayah andakoshe shariresmin saptavarana samyute vairaja purusho yosao bhagavan dharanasrayah andakoshe shariresmin saptavarana samyute vairaja purusho yosau bhagavan dharanasrayah
andakoshe shariresmin
andakoshe
saptavarana samyute
vairaja purusho yosau bhagavan dharanasrayah andakoshe within the universal shell. Sarire, in the body, of, asmin, this, sapta, sevenfold, avarana, coverings, samyute, having so done, vairaja, the gigantic universal, Purushaha, form of the Lord, Yaha, that, Asau,
He,
Bhagavan,
Bhagavan,
the personality of Godhead,
personality of Godhead,
Dharana,
Dharana,
conception,
conception,
Ashraya,
Ashraya,
object of.
object of.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by the sevenfold material elements, is the subject of the Virat conception. Kindly repeat after me. The gigantic universal form
The gigantic universal form
of the personality of Godhead
of the personality of Godhead
within the body
within the body
of the universal shell,
of the universal shell,
which is covered
which is covered
by sevenfold
by sevenfold
material elements,
material elements,
is the subject for
is the subject for
the Virat conception. Purport. Simultaneously, the Lord has multifarious other forms, and all of them are identical with the original fountainhead form of the Lord, Sri Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, it has been proven that the original, transcendental, and eternal form of the Lord is Sri Krishna, the absolute personality of Godhead. But by His inconceivable internal potency, Atmamaya, He can expand Himself by multifarious forms and incarnations simultaneously without being diminished in His full potency. He is complete, and although innumerable complete forms emanate from Him, He is still complete without any loss. That is His spiritual or internal potency. In the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, manifested His Virat Rupa just to convince the less intelligent class of men who cannot conceive of the Lord as appearing just like a human being, that He factually has the potency of His claim to be the supreme absolute person without any rival or superior. Materialistic men can think, although very imperfectly, of the huge universal space, comprehending an innumerable number of planets as big as the sun. They can see only the circular sky overhead without any information that this universe, as well as many other hundreds of thousands of universes, are each covered by sevenfold material coverings of water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumenon, and material nature. Just like a huge football pumped and covering, floating on the water of the causal ocean where the Lord is lying as Mahavishnu. All the universes in seed are emanating from the breathing of the Mahavishnu, who is but part of a partial expansion of the Lord. And all the universes presided over by the Brahmas vanquish when the Mahavishnu withdraws his great breath. In this way, the material worlds are being created and vanished by the supreme will of the Lord. The poor, foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward an insignificant creature to become his rival incarnation simply on the allegations of a dying man. The Virat Rupa was particularly exhibited by the Lord just to give lessons to such foolish men, so that one can accept a person as the incarnation of God only if such a person is able to exhibit such a Virat Rupa as Lord Krishna did. The materialistic person may concentrate his mind upon the Virat, or gigantic form of the Lord, in his own interest and as recommended by Shukadeva Goswami. But he must be on his guard not to be misled by pretenders who claim to be the identical person as Lord Krishna, but are not able to act like him or exhibit the Virat Rupa, comprehending the whole of the universe. Translation again: the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements, is the subject of the Virat conception. So this chapter, as we mentioned earlier, is entitled The First Step in God Realization. And for many people, it is not so easy to conceive or understand the aspect of God, or the conception of God, what to speak of the personal conception of God. And therefore, this is being explained here in the Bhagavatam, how one can begin to appreciate that there is something beyond beyond ourselves in terms of the whole cosmic manifestation. Here it is being explained how each and every universe, and there are, we think there is one universe, but when we read the Bhagavatam, we come to know that there are innumerable universes floating, and all of them are completely separate. We cannot even travel within one universe to different planets. What to speak of going beyond this one universe? There are innumerable universes. This was nicely demonstrated in the whole Leela of Lord Brahma, as we know, having gone to Dwarka to meet Lord Krishna. And he was being asked which Brahma you are, and he was perplexed, and the whole story was there. Lord Brahma thinks that he's the only one. And that whole Leela demonstrated how in every, we are actually the smallest universe. Our Lord Brahma is the smallest Lord Brahma. I mean, the one that has the least number of heads. He has only 4. And there are Lord Brahmas who have 8 and 10 and 100 and 1,000 and unlimited practically, yeah. So in the purport, in a very subtle way, without giving any names, but Prabhupada makes reference to a quite well-known personality here in India who claimed to be God, and before leaving his body was, making that revelation to his followers who have accepted him as God and who continue to refer to him as God. Prabhupada is making the point that if someone makes such a foolish claim, that let him show or demonstrate his Virat Rupa. Let him live, go over downhill, Let him perform some activities that are befitting to God. But so many persons in the history, and it continues even today, people claiming to be Lord Jesus, people claiming to be Krishna, people, So these are simply false claims. One needs to, it's only when we begin to study the Srimad Bhagavatam, certain sections that are describing how wonderful, how great is this material creation, this whole cosmic manifestation. And it is beyond even the greatest scientist's imagination, isn't it? Yeah. So that is the purpose of the Virat Rupa form of the Lord, to help us begin our appreciation of something greater than ourselves. Because generally this ego that we have, false conception, that is the beginning and the root cause of our disease in the material world. We have a very puffed up and false understanding of things, beginning with our own self. Yeah. So Prabhupada, again, just to read the one of the messages given here in the purport, the poor, foolish materialist can just imagine how ignorantly he puts forward an insignificant creature to become his rival incarnation. And that's happened again and again in the history. During Krishna's time, one, who was it, was claiming to be, I am Vishnu, 4-armed Vishnu. And challenged Krishna. Krishna laughed at him. And I think cut off his head. this is all due to false ego, false identification, a false pride, because of lack of understanding of our actual position. Whenever there are calamities happening, and we are in the midst of such calamities, only then, Prabhupada gives the example that when the astronauts were going to the moon, and then some difficulties were there, then everyone started to pray to God. If everything is going all right, we take the credit. Then when it starts to go wrong, then we turn to God. So, yeah. So the text, the gigantic universal form of the personality of Godhead within the body of the universal shell, which is covered by sevenfold material elements. So our body is made up of yeah. But our body is made up of 8 material elements. Here it mentions covered by sevenfold material elements. Is the subject for the Virat conception. Yeah. So before we go into today happens to be appearance. The appearance of one of our great personalities who has left immense literature, information about Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Lochandas Thakur's appearance today. Before we read about, yeah, it's quite a bit there. We can, whether there's any comment or question on our verse today. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for the class. Here Srila Prabhupada mentioned in his purport regarding the sevenfold material coverings.
Yes.
So Prabhupada mentioned water, fire, air, sky, ego, noumenon, and material nature. So I just a bit confused here regarding, he mentioned here material nature. What does he refer to the material nature here? Because as far as I understood that water, fire, air, this ether, sky, or ego, that is actually part of the material nature.
Yes. Well, here, normally there are 5 material elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Yes.
So earth is not mentioned here.
Right.
So material nature must be nature. Material nature must be earth. Yeah. Earth, water, fire, air, and then sky, which is ether. Then ego, noumenon. What is noumenon?
I'm about to ask that.
Yeah. Earth, water, fire, air, ether. Then mind, intelligence, and ego is what is described in the Bhagavad Gita. That would have to be looked into a bit more because, yeah, the shell of each universe is covered by these different material elements that we are made up of. Sometimes it's presented a little bit differently here, but one would have to go into it a bit more because normally, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, it's presented from the gross to the more subtle, isn't it? Beginning with earth. Bhumir apo nalo vayu, that verse. So earth, water, fire, air, ether, or sky. And then somehow it gets twisted here a little bit. Ego normally is the last one. And so one would have to look at the Sanskrit to the Sanskrit or where Prabhupada is getting this reference, I'm not sure. Yeah. That's why we know that in giving these purports, Srila Prabhupada is taking from very often taking from different commentaries, and whether this is the case here or not, I don't know. But one would have to look into that. We know that in the 7th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, which is the second, I believe, verse, this word, similar word is used as well. Yes. When Krishna explains to Arjuna about what is actual knowledge, isn't it? Jnanam teham savijnanam, knowledge and realized knowledge. So the translation is as follows: I shall now declare to you in full this knowledge, both phenomenal and noumenal. So noumenal and noumenon seem connected, and I would have to look at that a little more closely to see what connection is there. We have phenomenal refers to matter, whereas noumenal refers to spirit. And that's the message in this verse here, that one needs to know the difference between matter and spirit. So we have to do a little research on this one. Yeah. Let's read a few things from the life of Sri Lochandas Thakur. He was born in 1523 in Kograma, in the Katwa block of Burdwan district, which is very close to here, of course. Yes. He was born in the Radeya clan of the physician caste, Vaidya. And yes, Lochandas was married at a very young age, according to the customs of that epoch. Yeah. Since Lochandas was married at a very young age, his wife at first remained with her parents. That was the system. But as the time approached when she was to join him, they began to worry because of Lochandas's indifference to material life. They approached his guru, Narahari Sarkar, and told him of their concern. As a result, Narahari ordered Lochandas to go to his in-laws' home. You're married, you have to go. Yeah. When Lochan arrived in their village, he was unable to remember where their house was. What a wonderful forgetfulness. since it had been a long time since he had visited, he asked a young girl in the street for directions, addressing her as Ma, or mother. When he arrived at his in-laws' house, he learned that the girl whom he had addressed as his mother was in fact his wife. From that day on, he always looked upon his wife as a mother. Worshipping Guru and Gauranga in an attitude of renunciation. Interesting, huh? Narahari Sarkar Thakur, Mahaprabhu's famous associate from Srikanda, was very affectionate to Lochan Das and gave him initiation. Lochan Das enthusiastically took up residence with his guru in Srikanda. His guru taught him the art of kirtan and later ordered him to write Mahaprabhu's sacred biography. Lochan Das took this order seriously and wrote the Chaitanya Mangala, the events of which are based on Murari Gupta's Chaitanya Charita. Yeah. Some people believe that Lochan Das and Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami gave the name Chaitanya Bhagavat to Vrindavan Das's book. Lochan Das wrote the Chaitanya Mangala in Eastern Bengal's Panchali style. There is a legend that he wrote the book while sitting on a stone under a flower tree. Okay. So he wrote many songs glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the translation of one of those songs as follows. Nitai Gunamani, Amar Nitai Gunamani. And it goes on that the translation, Nitai is a jewel of virtue. My Nitai is the jewel of virtue. He brought the deluge of love of God and flooded the world. He brought the deluge of love of God to Gauranga, flooding the devotees. The lowly and deprived are also floating. He excluded not the lowly and deprived, nor the sinful and atheists, but insisted that everyone take the gift of love, which is beyond the reach of even Brahma. Nitai cut the floodgates which held back the ocean of compassion and went from door to door to give the nectar of love to everyone. Lochan Das says that anyone who has not worshipped my Nitai has committed suicide in full knowledge. Yeah. So, yeah, different. Yes. So there are different books that describe the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and we generally are more familiar with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there are other, of course, he is, in addition There is Lochan Das Thakur, then Vrindavan Das Thakur, and other personalities. Okay. Jai Sri Lochan Das Thakur ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Okay. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai.